So you are going to share the screen with the website, right?
Yep, I'll flip over in a
Okay.
minute here. So thank you. Today we have Cade Cockburn joining us from, is it Johnson City, Illinois?
Johnston City.
Awesome. Thanks for hopping on with us tonight. We are having a lot of fun with these Meet the Breeder sessions. So I think it's a great way to kind of get in each of the breeders' heads and find out a little bit about their herds and what they have going on. So I have a few questions for you that I'll start with, and then we'll turn it over to Cade, and he can discuss anything I might have missed that he feels he'd like to share with you tonight. So, Cade, you are obviously a younger farmer. Can you kind of tell us about how long you've been participating in dairy goat shows and how long you've been showing?
So February of this year, 2021, marks my 10th year in the dairy goat industry. I've been at it for 10 years now. I guess I'll kind of start off with telling you all my story. Ever since I was able to talk, I always remember asking my parents, can I please have my own goats? And being people with full-time jobs and other responsibilities, the answer was always, no, it'll be your responsibility to take care of them. We have other things to do. You don't need goats. So in the second grade, I came down with a severe bacterial infection called C. diff that almost took my life 3 separate times. And on one of those occasions, my dad said to me, if you will just get better, I will get you those goats. So they didn't even know that I had heard them when my dad said that to me. And I woke up a couple days later and I'm like, did somebody say we were going to be getting some goats? So after that, we got our first Nigerian dwarf goats, and that has been 10 years ago now this month. For about 3 years, we did start with registered stock, but we didn't really get heavy into the show ring and the performance programs until 2014 was the first year that we started showing hard and heavy. And since then, I haven't quit, and that's pretty much my life at this point.
So, did your family have any history with livestock, or did you have a farm, or were the goats your first thing you ever had as a farm animal?
I did have some chickens beforehand.
Okay.
Um, my mom kind of grew up around horses and some animals, but my dad hadn't, but to the extent that we do now. Nothing like a breeding program or purebred animals like we do now. So this is really the first time that we've done anything to this extent. We've been at it for 10 years now.
So, are you the main caretaker of your farm, or is everyone in your family involved?
I'd say it's a family affair. It definitely does take a village. Um, I've said a couple of times before, I'm like, maybe I should change my herd name because of how much help you guys give me. I don't feel like it gives my family enough credit for what they do help me with, and I really do appreciate all the help that they do give and the support that they give me.
So, are Nigerians the only breed you have, or do you guys have other dairy goat breeds too?
I have one purebred La Mancha kid right now.
Okay.
At the 2017 National Show, everybody told me in the showmanship class, everybody told me, you are too tall to be showing Nigerians. You need a big goat for these hour-and-a-half long showmanship classes. So we got into the La Manchas and some recorded grades for a little while and found out that it's kind of hard to manage two breeds together, especially standard breeds and Nigerians. So I sold most of them and just have the one La Mancha kid now, and Nigerians have always been the main focus, but that we're really pushing forward even harder now with the Nigerians.
Are you still showing as a youth in 2021, or have you aged out now?
No, I'll still be youth.
You will still be a youth.
Yep.
Awesome. What other programs do you participate in besides showing?
We are an ADGA Plus herd, so we participate in linear appraisal, also 305-day milk testing, DHI, and we're also in the process of getting all of our bucks DNA typed and taking advantage of the DNA programs that ADGA has to offer.
In your herd, being you are a licensed dairy, correct?
Not technically. We were the first farm in the state to be able to, we had the permit to sell raw milk. So we're not a grade A dairy per se, but we do sell raw milk on the farm.
Okay.
We were the first farm in the state to get that permit. So the way the law reads, they have to come to the farm to pick up the milk. So it's not like we're selling retail or anything like that. But it's been a nice way to get rid of some of our excess milk. And it's really been a way to help people as well. A lot of people who have health problems, cancer survivors, diabetics, people with arthritis, they'll drink the goat milk and say that it really helps with their symptoms and makes them feel a lot better. So it really has been a good thing that we've been able to do that, and we really enjoy that side of it.
Okay. The first time I ever came across your herd was at the Madison Nationals in 2017, and we were so impressed that you had such a strong herd as a youth. Can you talk a little bit about what the youth program at Nationals looks like and a little bit about what you accomplished that year?
Sure. So the youth events at the National Show are the highlight of my year. Here in Johnston City, there is nobody else that has livestock, nobody else that uh, shows livestock. So I often feel like I'm alone when I'm at school. So it's really awesome to be able to go to the National Show, and those whole first 2 days oftentimes are devoted to the youth events, fitting team management, judging, and showmanship. And I love to being able to talk to other like-minded youth, about genetics, about breeding, about AI, nutrition, and nobody judges me for it. We're all the same age. We're all, have the same age, and we all have the same passion. And it's really cool to be able to do that. Um, I've had a lot of fun being involved in the fitting team. Last year, or 2 years ago now, I flew out to Redmond, Oregon, and we were the Toy Story trimmers. Before that, we were the Goat Busters, and we've got a pretty cool theme for this year. Hopefully we get to have a fitting team. But I'd say the management competition has to be my favorite, because I can sit and talk to people for hours about, medications, nutrition, just all the things that are on the management test. And that year that you said in 2017, I won the junior management competition. And I also was premier junior youth exhibitor of show that year.
It was wonderful to see, and it was very well deserved. Are you planning on attending the 2021 Nationals?
We will be there.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, what other shows do you normally hit up during the year? Do you show quite a bit? Do you only show a few other shows?
I try to hit 10 to 12 shows a year. It was a little less this past year because of the pandemic, but we still hit 5 or 6, even with COVID restrictions being in place in a lot of places. This year, I'm hoping that more of the shows we regularly go to will be in session. I show regionally a lot. I show in Illinois, Indiana. Last year, we went down to Tennessee. We go to Kentucky, Missouri. So we hit a lot of the Midwest showing.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. What we're going to do now is we are going to flip over to Cade's screen and we're going to let him talk through some animals on his website. We'd love to hear about your pairings, your breeding philosophies, what your goals are for this year and for your kidding season. Obviously, if you have kids available or you're taking a wait list, feel free to share any of that information too. So let me quick flip over here.
You can start with the senior doe page.
All right. Who are we going to talk about here?
Well, first we can start off with Faith, our Sugar Moon RB Faith. Everyone knows and loves her. This is a doe that we were able to purchase 3 years ago from Terry Babb at Old South Farm when she was selling out, and we've been super blessed to be able to add this animal to our herd. As you can see from the picture, she's just really powerful in that front end, has a lot of balance throughout, and dairy strength doesn't come at the expense of that power. So she's got a long dairy neck and an extremely correct mammary system. And this is an animal who is not just correct as far as the show ring goes, but she is also correct as far as her production goes. I think her number was 1,029 pounds in 305 days last year. And that was as a 9-year-old, 9 or 10 freshenings on her at that point. She has been on the elite doe list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. It was ADGA top 10 for protein production in 2014 and has an appraisal score of 91. So she's definitely a doe that we are excited to have in our herd and have been able to, we hope to see her influence our herd a lot. We have a doe kid kept out of her, Cade's Little Farm SE Glory, and we've also been using her buck a lot, Cade's Little Farm WL Kavanaugh. So I will go back to the senior doe page now. And next one we can talk about is Magic. This was a funny story about her. So her dam was one of our original goats, one of the very first goats we ever had. And probably nicer than what we thought she was at the time. But her dam doesn't really have any famous genetics. So we kept Magic not knowing what we were doing. She was one of our first kids ever born. And once we got into the show ring, The very first time when she was a kid, she placed 9th place, dead last. So that was at the point, I hadn't shown before, and I didn't understand that you may place last under one judge and first under the next in the same day. So I thought that Magic was just awful because of that 9th place finish. And the next year she freshened and was very nice. And the year after that, she finished her championship. So it's been a big joke that my dad has always said he's the one that kept me from selling her after she placed dead last that first year. So my dad says that's his goat, and I can't claim her because I wanted to sell her when she placed last at our very first show ever. So she has.
That's a really good thing to mention to people who have never shown before.
Yes.
That is very common. Judges have different styles they look for.
Sure.
And just because you go to your first goat show and maybe all your goats placed at the end of the line, that just might be how things went that day. And I think you need to make sure people don't get discouraged.
Right.
If you're already nervous, you go to your first show and then, oh, my goats didn't do good. And also the other thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is the handler and the way they present the goat plays
Absolutely.
a huge role as well. So
Yes.
a lot of times you're taking a goat that probably has never been shown, coupled with a handler that's nervous and maybe doesn't have a lot of experience. That goat's not going to put their best foot forward. So I think that's an important thing. If you are newer to showing or thinking about showing, don't let those end of the line placings, discourage you from participating, because you can only move up that line.
And another thing to consider is that's one judge's opinion on one day out of the year. You have that animal in your barn, you see it every day, and you know what that animal actually has. And even if you place dead last in one ring, you can say, well, another day she might place higher, but it might not even be another day. You might walk into the next ring and place altogether differently. So it's subjective, and I like to think that all of our judges do judge based on the scorecard, but everybody, even with that, still has their own opinions and their own interpretations of the scorecard. So that definitely does change from ring to ring, from judge to judge, from day to day. Magic is a clear example of that. She was dead last. I was ready to get rid of her and not ever look at her again. And now look at her. She's a SGCH, has her advanced registry, has multiple best of breed wins and a praise 91. So that's just a funny story that I had about her. That's a big joke that my dad still says that's his goat. Another one we can look at is another good story is Cade's Little Farm beating Meggie. She is actually Magic's full genetic sister. She's from a repeat breeding. And I sold Meggie as a kid, not knowing that Magic was going to compete as well as she did and turn out as well as she did. So once Magic started winning in the shows and I saw her freshen, I started begging Maggie's owner, will you please let me have her back? I offered her more money than what I ended up paying for her when I bought her back. And she would never let me have her back because she was very well taken care of, but she was just the owner's pet. She was very well loved. And finally, her owner decided that she was selling out of goats. So I bought Maggie back. And after 5 years, having never set foot in the show ring, I don't even think she'd been milked before. I took her out to her first show, and she was grand and best of breed in 2 rings at that show. And the next month, she was grand again and finished her championship and appraised at 90. That's after 5 years of having never left the previous owner's farm or being in a show ring. So we are really happy to have Maggie back with us, and I look forward to seeing what she will do in our breeding program. Another one we can talk about is Hocus Pocus. She is an up in Cade's Little Farm AX Hocus Pocus. She comes from our Magic line. So I talk about Magic in her own success, but she has also have been a very prolific brood doe for us. Her kids have went on to compete well. Her grandkids and even great grandkids have went on to compete well. And there's just a lot of consistency in those lines. Hocus Pocus here in 2020, she was a 2-year-old first freshener. She went out to a show in Indiana and first off, she got her junior leg in 2019. First show out last year, she got grand champion in one ring. And then the next weekend, she was grand again. So she finished her championship as a 2-year-old first freshener. And her dam Vanish, you were talking about what I did at the 2017 National Show. Vanish was my first place senior kid at the 2017 Nationals. So Vanish, Hocus Pocus's dam, went on to win first place yearling milker at the 2018 National Show, just a year after she'd placed first place senior kid. And Hocus Pocus here, I think, is following in those footsteps. That's one that I would caution everybody to watch out for. I have a lot of people who are interested in kids from Hocus Pocus, a lot of people who have seen her out and about, and I'm really excited to see what she does this year, especially, excuse me, at the National Show. Go back to the Senior Doe page here. How about we talk about Revlon?
I was just gonna say, I've seen that name quite a bit. I'm
Yep.
kind of curious to see what you have to say about her.
She is one of our more famous does that we have here. And I don't know if you noticed, but Magic and Meggie are both sired by Bandit, Farm Old South ZV Bandit. He was a buck that we purchased year 2 of raising goats. We had no idea what we were doing, and it was a fluke that he turned out as well as he did. And he is now a superior genetics and has his plus star B. So his kids have all been very consistent and correct. You look at Revlon's udder, that high escutcheon, that correct medial, the perfect teat placement, that is a Bandit udder right there. Most of our herd does go back to Bandit, and we were very blessed to be able to get him in our herd. And you'll also notice that Revlon's dam Maybelline, that's not a well-known herd name. Maybelline's sire and dam were not well-known. However, Maybelline herself was a very correct animal. She just didn't have to back that up. But you can see Revlon here that she is extremely correct in the mammary system. When she was appraised in 2019, the appraiser said that her udder alone would have a score of 93 or 94.
Oh, wow. That's gorgeous.
So we're really happy with her. And this just goes to show you what a good buck can do for your herd, because you've seen Magic, Meggie, now Revlon. These are all sired by Bandit. And he really has set that type in our herd. And people have told me before that they notice the rear udders on our animals, the attachment and the teat placement. That's something that we breed for. That's something that came from Bandit. And that is just a way to show people that a good buck can really make or break your herd. So that is why it is important to invest in a good buck that you can use to set that type in your herd, like I have with Bandit and his kids.
Or are we moving on? More senior does, or
how about we go to, we'll look at a couple of up and coming on the junior doe page.
All right, I'll scroll up there. All right, who are we starting with for juniors?
We can start with, let's start with Irresistible.
I'm gonna have to scroll down. Okay, here we go, right in the middle.
So this is Cade's Little Farm SC Irresistible. I like to use the saying, if it works, it's called line breeding. If it doesn't work, it's called inbreeding. I have seen both ends of that spectrum. I like to say the very best kid I have ever bred, Irresistible, is line breeding. And the very worst I ever bred was inbreeding. So Irresistible, if you look, she is line bred heavily on Old Mountain Farm stag. Both of her parents are kids of stag. We have Stag Surprise and Sleeping Beauty, and she really has the best of both worlds. And when you look at her walk through the barn, she's extremely correct in that front end, has beautiful general appearance. Her top line is just as good as they come, has really beautiful rear leg angulation. She got her dry leg in 2020, and I'm really looking forward to see what Irresistible is going to do this year. She'll be a yearling first freshener. My other Sleeping Beauty daughter, Fresh Jasmine, freshened with a really, really nice mammary system this last year as a yearling herself. So hopefully Irresistible will do the same. That is an example of line breeding working. half brother, half sister breeding. We'll go back and we can look at, let's look at Nutmeg. So this is Cade's Little Farm SE Nutmeg. I clipped her up this year and took this picture, and I thought we clipped her up before taking her down to Carrollton, Georgia for the Carrollton Classic show in June. And I thought when we took this picture that she might have a pretty good chance of competing down there when we went. And she placed first in a huge dry yearling class and was junior champion in Carrollton, Georgia this last year. And that was over 84 junior does. So
Wow.
I really like the levelness of the top line that she shows. She has a really nice upstanding front end and really correct angularity of those rear legs too. So I think she's another one to watch out for. And I'm really excited to see freshen this year. And the last junior doe that we can discuss, let's look at Cookie Dough.
I don't know if I have, did you have a picture of her?
Very top.
Oh yeah, very top. Okay.
Yep. So she's one of those that sometimes will get overlooked because she's only about 19 inches tall. Her dam is the same way. They are just small goats. However, when you really watch her walk, she is extremely level over that top line, has a beautiful front end. General appearance is amazing. She's smoothly blended throughout and is really, I think, going to be a nice animal. I think a lot of times I've noticed showing Nigerians a lot that sometimes the smaller goats get overlooked when you have a judge who is used to breeding standard goats. And I think a lot of times that can be unfortunate when sometimes those smaller goats may be one of the better animals in the class. So I'm really excited to see where Cookie Dough goes, even though she is a little smaller. She's extremely correct. I mean, you can look at this picture and just see the general appearance on her. And her pre-fresh udder that's coming in right now, her teat placement is spot on. And I'm really excited to see where she can go.
I'm thinking we have about 5 minutes left here before we get kicked off our Zoom. So in those last couple minutes, did you want to either talk about your herd sires a little bit in your breeding schedule, or I would also be interested to know what you're looking for in keeper kids this year, or if you can cover all of it, wonderful.
We'll just go to the breeding schedule page and cover it all that way.
Okay.
So go on the breeding schedule page.
Yep.
Okay. So I am hoping really to see, I'm really just hoping for a consistent kid crop of really dairy kids that are correct in general appearance. Last year, I think we accomplished that. Well, you can see the kids that I retained. I think we're able to have those traits. I'm looking forward to seeing more Stag Surprise kids and see more of his kids freshen. But I'm also excited to see some Kavanaugh kids. He's a son of Faith, who I mentioned at the beginning. So far, the kids I've seen out of him have really nice, correct front end assemblies and are really long and level. So I'm excited with what I'm seeing out of him. And another buck that we have that I have seen a couple of kids out of him now, but we've got more does bred, is Fairland Farm Fly the W. He's a buck that we took out and finished his championship this last year, and I'm excited to see more kids out of him. Just looking forward to keeping some kids in hopefully every class and having a couple at the national show. And I do have a waiting list. The waiting list is long right now, but I would encourage anybody who's interested in buying a kid from me to reach out and walk you through. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what your goals are with your herd, and I can likely put you with the right pairing that I think will give you the kid that you're looking for. And it never hurts to get on that waiting list, is what I would tell people. They can look at my breeding schedule anytime, and I have links to each goat's page, and they can do a lot of research that way within the website.
I also think it's important to mention too, to people that are newer to this breed, when you're working with an established breeder and you're a reputable breeder, they are going to want to put the right animal with the right owner for the best chance of success. And I would say that is more common than not with breeders who are really passionate about their herds, because it's a win-win for everybody. If you're getting the right animal that will help you reach your goals, whether it's you want a nice hand milker for a home milking goat, you want a real showy animal that, you know, will do well on showing, you're not as concerned about production. It's very important that you share those goals with the breeder that you're reaching out to, and a good breeder will tell you if they don't have anything that will meet your needs.
Right.
I think that you need to know that, and don't be discouraged, because they can probably connect you with someone that has a goat that would be appropriate for whatever you're looking for.
Yes.
So definitely one of the benefits of reaching out to a breeder that does things like showing and the milk testing, where you have data and information to support what these breeders are selling you. So reach out to Cade if you're looking in the Illinois area. Or Cade, do you ship?
We do.
If,
We ship, and we also use ground transport a lot. I've got kids going all over the US and even Canada this year. So we definitely have a lot of options for shipping.
all right. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap it up here. So you can obviously contact Cade through the website if you're interested, and you're on Facebook too, obviously.
Yep.
Um, thank you so much for sharing the information about your herd with us. We are
Yep.
going
I've
to be
enjoyed it.
posting this on our YouTube page, and you're welcome to share it wherever you want. I think there's a lot of good information that Cade presented tonight, especially regarding the national show, his herd, and what he has to offer. So thank you so much. And
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it.
good luck. Hopefully we have a wonderful show season, and we'll see you out.
Yep. Thank you.